Hi guys, so today I'm here talking about my first Friday back with Uber, which was frustrating, very frustrating. Um, Even before I started with Uber, I was already kind of in a bad mood because I had requested time off from my other job on a Sunday and had assumed that because I had put the request in on plenty of time, there's no special event that I know of at work where they wouldn't have given it to me, that I was going to get it. So the day that we're talking about, Friday, the schedule came out and I was working on Sunday, and so I was explaining to people how part of the reason that I decided to go for it and rent a car with Uber, even though I still have to work 30 odd hours, was that I thought that my day off, Sunday, I would be able to come to San Francisco. And the people just are in a different mindset, in my opinion. On a Sunday, they're going to do more recreational things than, say, going to work or going to the doctor. So the fact that I wasn't going to have Sunday off, my day off was going to be a weekday, it was definitely just bad news. So I already was not happy about that. But basically the night was so slow. And also because of the fact that the previous night, Thursday night, had been very fast paced, I had expected, nighttime is back to being busy. Now that, some of the restrictions have been lifted with COVID, people are back to going out at night, and I'll be, not quite as busy as before on a Friday night, but close, like pretty busy on a Friday night. And it was pretty much like dead for me for a good amount of time. I feel like I was out on, driving. I got a ride out of my house, which is how my day starts. I turn on the application and see how quickly or slowly somebody calls. I think even that took a while before somebody called and headed out, to downtown San Jose, I believe. But there were very few rides. I hung out at the San Jose airport for a while. Nothing happened while I was there. No calls came in. After a while, I went to a nearby In-N-Out hamburger restaurant. Was there for a little bit before finally I got a call from very close to that area, to the Santa Clara University area, which is, a university that's close by to both those things. So it was like a $5-10 fare, $10 or so long trip. And so the first guys that I got were really nice. Actually, I should preface, I should have started the video by saying everybody all day was great as far as customers go. It was the experience of not being financially where I wanted to be that was the main issue, especially earlier in the day. And then we're getting to the other part of the day as well right now. I dropped those guys off, and during the time that we were driving, the radio was on and Adele's Hello came on, and I turned it up and I was like, this song is about how well my night is going, because that song's super depressing and slow. After a bit, I decided that this is not worth it. It's just whatever is going on, I'm not going to get any rides. So it's basically, once I decided to go home, and probably that was nearing to be close to midnight, I would guess. Once I decided to go home is when I actually started getting calls to go back and forth. And, I got a lot of calls and was fairly busy, from 12 o'clock onward. But the thing that spoiled the night again for me, after it picking up from being bad with no calls, was the very end of the night where I was pretty tired. I was pretty much ready to go home. And then I see that Uber is offering like $10 bonus for your next trip. And so, $10 for me was like, okay, that's worth it. I'm not that tired. I'll be okay for just one more trip. Well, by that point, it was close to 4 a.m, and I went ahead and I picked somebody up in downtown San Jose. The call ended up being for Fremont, and I don't know if you've seen my other videos that talk about the filters on Uber, where they have this feature where supposedly if you have a destination that you're going to, the trips will only be in the direction of that destination. Well, the call that I got from downtown San Jose was from downtown San Jose way past my destination, going north, about 20 minutes past my house. And so even though I was ready to wrap it up, but the $10 was the incentive, that I was like, I guess I'll do this. The customer ended up being really, really, really cool guy. I liked him a lot. Actually, we talked about a lot of interesting topics. But the one that stands out in my mind, though, is that I kind of feel like I not insulted him, but I kind of feel bad because Taylor Swift's Wildest Dream came on, and I'm a big Swiftie. And so he commented something about Taylor that was good. And I said, oh, is your daughter a big Swiftie? Because he had talked about his kids. And he said, no, but her father is. And I was like, oh, well, you know why I said that. And I said, I'm a Swiftie, and when I go online, I feel like her fan base is very young. So that's why I thought your daughter must be the one who's a fan. But then I went on to talk very complimentarily, both of us, about Taylor Swift. We both think she's, very, very talented. So that was one of the veins of conversation that was very memorable. I'll get back to some of the interesting conversations, but the cap on how horrible the evening went was after I dropped him off, I got a call from Uber, and they were wanting me to pick somebody up. Not only was he 10 minutes away from where I dropped off the last guy in Fremont, he was even farther north than that guy, and then coming back towards Fremont. But I was just like, no, I am not doing that. And it might have been even more than 10 minutes away, because I know specifically there was 17 minutes involved. I think he was 17 minutes away from where my last point was when the call came in. And like my videos have mentioned, I'm barely back to being with Uber. I am not as familiar with the application as maybe I should be. And I always, like, if I take a call, up until that point, I had taken it. Every call that, I've accepted, I have never canceled. So at that point in the night, I was like, no way am I doing this. I am way too tired. It's way too far away. I need to cancel. I couldn't figure it out. Like I said, I was exhausted by that point. I did not have the mental capacity to go through and try to figure out where the cancel button was. And so because of that, I ended up going ahead and turning onto the freeway, going back to my house, and calling Uber. And Uber support has a hotline that's like 24 hours. They were not able to help me cancel the trip. The customer ended up having to cancel the trip. And it's like, what? Why would you be there for 24 hours and not know some of the most basic things that the app does, like canceling a trip? I mean, granted, as a driver, I should have known how to do that, but it still seems really weird that they wouldn't have anybody, any way to cancel the trip, from their end. And so the customer, like I said, ended up paying $5. I'm still like going back and forth with them, trying to get the customer to get his $5 back. It seems like it should be a little easier. But anyway, all that notwithstanding, like, that was a horrible way to end the night. I was so tired and so frustrated by that point, by the fact that the call came in at all with those details, and then the fact that I wasn't able to cancel it. I was beyond mad at Uber at the end of that night. However, now in retrospect, I can say all my customers that day were great, no problems, a lot of interesting people. I actually have it written down so I could refer back to it. One of the guys was somebody who worked in technology, and he started out, I don't remember what he mentioned, that he was talking about how he was a kid of the 90s, he had grown up with the Cartoon Network, and was talking about how streaming has really changed technology so much. We were talking about how Google has changed technology so much for people who, would get lost and have a lot of issues otherwise. 20 years back, Google has totally changed the scene. A wrong turn means nothing because Google totally adjusts for that. And that kind of led into a broader conversation about the future of technology. Like, there's always shifts in technology that change the way people do things. And, he worked in technology. And so he was saying that it's kind of like, it's his field. So of course he's thinking about it. And he was saying that probably virtual reality is probably the next wave that's going to be the total shift in the way we do things. And social media had been the previous ones, and GPS had probably been the previous one. So that was a really, really cool conversation. I definitely remember at the end of the day, or the end of the ride, he was talking, I was saying, oh, it's great that you're thinking about all this stuff. And he was saying, I'm, as human beings, we are, we should work to make the world a better place, and have jobs that are meaningful like that. And I agreed with him and said that that was great, which it is. But I just also was thinking in my head, you're privileged to live in America and be able to do something, be able to pursue a career that allows you to do that. Like in different circumstances, he could be in Pakistan and not have access to a lot of the education that he did have access to be able to work in the technology field and work on the significant issues that he does work on. So yeah, that was an interesting conversation. And then kind of related to that, my drive down to Fremont with the guy with the Taylor Swift Taylor Swift daughter, the guy who liked Taylor Swift and had an 11-year-old daughter. That was a pretty interesting conversation too. We were kind of, I don't know if I mentioned the passenger, the Pakistani passenger in technology, or something else happened that brought up the idea of social networking. He was just talking about how it's hard with kids, and he was not very complimentary to Mark Zuckerberg. He kept calling him Mark Zucker Turd and insulting him for his robotic way of carrying himself. But he was overall a really nice guy. He had been out until, I know he was saying that he had been out until 4 a.m. His wife had encouraged him to go out, but he didn't want to bother his wife. And then the kids came up because he was saying the kids were going to be waking up around 6. So, in a couple hours from when he arrived. But yeah, really, really nice guy. Like, he had been out till 4 a.m, so I don't know how much of his conversation was inspired by alcohol. There were quite a few people who I feel like probably might have been drinking, but after having had the experience of a customer throwing up in the car, I feel like I am now more on the lookout for the signs of extreme intoxication. Hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully that's not going to ever happen to me again. But anyway, so yeah, overall, in retrospect, I can look back at it and say it's not as bad as it felt at that moment, but boy, was that a rough night. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.